Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. There are 4 states with big primaries across the country this evening, and ever alert to breaking news. Of course, we'll bring you results as we get them in tonight. But first, we want to take you back 48 hours. New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman was a big deal then, a widely respected government official. He was a feminist icon. He was regarded by many as a potential Democratic presidential nominee. There's not a progressive cause that Eric Schneiderman didn't embrace wholeheartedly and then attempt to impose by force on the people of New York State. Schneiderman was an all-purpose left-wing activist. He was especially an aggressive advocate for the Me Too movement. Watch.
We must reimagine a world where predators are exposed and held to account, and survivors are supported and empowered at every level.
It really was a culture of male supremacy, said Eric Schneiderman, and liberals nodded in their bovine way. They loved all of... Watch this.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
I'm Eric Schneiderman, and I'm the Attorney General of the state of New York.
Are you going to lead us out of the darkness?
The state attorneys general are going to be the first line of defense.
Eric's Justice League has challenged Trump over the first travel ban, pesticides, student loans, the second travel ban, smog, methane, Obamacare subsidies, DACA, the third travel ban, trans rights, clean power plan, and birth control access. Whew.
We're going to save ourselves together.
You're going to save us.
We're going to do it. But that requires a lot of people other than state attorneys general getting engaged.
Please be my hero.
Well, tonight, Samantha Bee's hero is disgraced and unemployed. Reporting by Ronan Farrow released last night suggests that in private, Schneiderman was exactly the kind of predator he claimed to be hunting. 4 different women accused Eric Schneiderman of hitting, slapping, and choking them. 2 said they later sought medical treatment for what he did. Some allege that Schneiderman made death threats against them. One says he threatened to have her followed or her phone tapped. One former girlfriend, who is Sri Lankan, told reporters that Schneiderman, quote, started calling me his brown slave and demanding that I repeat that I was his property. Schneiderman's many friends on the left didn't stick around long once the New Yorker piece came out last night. After pausing to make certain that Schneiderman's career was really dead, former allies have come out to denounce him and say how horrified and shocked they are by the allegations. They can't believe it. Please. As with Harvey Weinstein, a lot of people knew Schneiderman was not at all what he pretended to be. There were plenty of signs of that, some public, and some people said so out loud, including Donald Trump in a famous tweet 5 years ago. But the left stuck with Eric Schneiderman anyway until the last possible moment, as they always do when political majorities are at stake. They'll put up with anything for the sake of power. Principle be damned. Consider this detail from the Farrow piece. Quote, after the former girlfriend ended the relationship with Schneiderman, she told several friends about the abuse. A number of them advised her to keep the story to herself, arguing that Schneiderman was too valuable a politician for the Democrats to lose. If you can even imagine. And of course you can imagine, because once again, like the obedient little robots they are, self-described champions of women fell into line to protect an abuser of women, just as they did with Ted Kennedy and Bill Clinton and countless others. Hypocritical? Of course it is. Is it surprising? No. These are the same people who fly their private jets to global warming conferences, the ones who bring armed guards to anti-gun rallies. These are the people you see on television lecturing you about diversity from the safety of their gated neighborhoods that look like 1950s America. Advised her to keep the story to herself, arguing that Schneiderman was too valuable a politician. Are you really shocked that they covered for a violent abuser who became famous for denouncing domestic violence? Probably not. It's a familiar script. Tomorrow, bet money on it, they'll be blaming Schneiderman's abuse on high school educated men in flyover country. It's their fault. Toxic masculinity. It's a nationwide problem. That'll happen. But before it does, let's be sure to get to the bottom of this particular story. Who knew about what Eric Schneiderman was doing, about what kind of man he was? Did New York Governor Andrew Cuomo know? How about New York Mayor Bill de Blasio? Or how about Senator and self-proclaimed Me Too leader Kirsten Gillibrand? All of them supported Schneiderman for years, just as they supported Bill Clinton and Teddy Kennedy and Harvey Weinstein. They've gotten a pass for all of that. This time it's worth getting to the bottom of their complicity in this, if any. Tammy Bruce is a radio show host in New York City. She's thought a lot about this, and she joins us now.
Hey there.
Hey, Tammy. So how long before Eric Schneiderman's alleged abuses become the abuse of all men? This is really a macro problem. Shouldn't we pause before we shift responsibility to everyone and ask who knew about this specific guy?
Yes, I mean, look, this is still, it's sinking in. It is so horrific. It's one thing to be arguing about sexual harassment and treating women badly or unequally in the workplace. That's bad enough.
Yeah.
These are stories of physical violence, of domestic violence, which has not been dealt with a great deal when it comes to the Me Too movement. And a man who was law enforcement, I mean, the Attorney General of the state.
Right.
And it's an extraordinary dynamic. And we know that these issues transcend politics and parties. But what's fascinating here is that these are men, whether it's Harvey Weinstein or Bill Clinton or the Kennedys or now this man, who wrapped themselves in the cloak of the Me Too movement, of feminism, who said that they were the champions for women, and ended up being the man that they were warning everyone about. And the problem is, as you mentioned in the Ronan story, is that for women on the left, liberal women, have been told and effectively conditioned that you've got to effectively give up yourself in a way in order to be able to help the movement or help the liberal narrative. That ironically, these women were told by their friends the argument that we want to fight to protect women, that we are going to protect a man who is violent toward them. There's got to be, this is one thing to expose them, but liberal women have to ask themselves, what other lies have we been told? What other things have we been told to how to behave? What we should sacrifice ourselves for? And here's the other revelation here, Tucker. Schneiderman expected, in some ways, we believe, to be part of Hillary Clinton's administration. Weinstein, in some reports, of course, was her best friend and very close to her. The thing that has made all of this possible to come out, besides Ronan Farrow's great reporting and other individuals as well, like Jane Meyer in this report, is the fact that Hillary Clinton lost. If she had won, all of these people would have been still protected, and they would have still been victimizing women in many industries, but certainly this upper crust of the liberal framework with men and the women that have protected them would have continued to victimize women. And now we're at a point where it's about, really, I contend, in this framework, this largeness of it, is that it's about the liberal ideology, that the right has been so demonized that you've got to protect everyone in your realm, because it's the right and conservatives who are supposed to be the deadly ones.
I think that's
it's your own victimizers there on the left.
No enemies on the left. I've seen this all my life. But
yeah.
And you're absolutely right to say that there are creepy people on both sides. That's for sure. But there's one strain of this behavior that really is particular to the left, and that's the overweening hypocrisy. We're all hypocrites, I get it. But the idea that the guy who's telling you you can't have a wood stove because of its carbon emissions is flying in a private jet, or the person who says you can't have a gun has an armed bodyguard, or the Me Too activist is beating up women, normal people wouldn't be that hypocritical without hating them. Like, normal people couldn't do that. They'd be like, you know what, I'm going to pick another issue. I know I'm beating up women, so I'm not going to be like the Me Too spokesman. But liberals do that again and again. Why? What's that about?
I would contend that they don't believe in the issues. Any more than Barack Obama cared about your health care or getting rid of nuclear weapons or ISIS. These are mechanisms for their own power. They use them. And on the left, you get protected because you've already convinced everyone else that you're not the enemy. So I don't believe it's hypocrisy, because to be a hypocrite, I suppose you have to kind of sort of believe in the issue and then do the opposite. They don't really believe in it. And this is our problem, and that's the liberal problem now, is that has this just been a game? Does no one believe in the issues? And for the women that have believed in it, let this at least hopefully maybe be a crack. You want a broken glass ceiling? It is only happening because Hillary Clinton lost, and now there's a chance for liberals to be honest. And maybe it's the Kanye West theory. Maybe they can have freer minds, which will lead to safer lives and genuine independence, which is what liberals and conservatives, all Americans, genuinely want together. We can stop alienating ourselves from each other and come together for the things that we have in common.
I've said it before, you're a very deep person. Tammy, thank you for that.
Thank you, Tucker. Great. I appreciate it.
In public, Eric Schneiderman expressed particular horror at the allegations that Harvey Weinstein coerced women with threats to keep them silent. Here's a selection.
Women were coerced into facilitating Harvey Weinstein's misconduct. Sometimes they were targets themselves. If they refused, they were threatened with insults. Their careers were threatened. They were threatened with physical intimidation and violence. The conduct really was shocking. We have never seen anything as despicable as what we've seen here.
Wouldn't you hate yourself if you were him? I mean, really, as you were saying that? Now, of course, we have allegations that Schneiderman did exactly the same thing, and other members of the New York political establishment may have covered for him. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says that Schneiderman's fall shows that nobody is above the law. Right.
This nation has a chronic, disturbing, disgusting behavior of sexual harassment against women. If it's the President of the United States, if it's the Attorney General of New York, nobody is above the law.
Did you get that? It's not my close political ally and friend Eric Schneiderman has a problem with abusing women, for which he resigned yesterday. It's America has the problem. You are the problem, not Eric Schneiderman. That guy shot up a school, but the fact that you have a shotgun in your closet is the real problem. We're all at fault here. Right. Okay. Joining us now. Sorry, I lost control. One of our favorite people, associate editor at the Washington Times, Larry O'Connor, joins us on set. So that is a tell right there. That they're going to leverage the Eric Schneiderman story, not to give rest of us like reason to examine what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
But to turn it around on the rest of us.
For Andrew Cuomo to actually see this as an opportunity to attack Donald Trump is beyond despicable and politically crass. And you're right, we can't need to riff off of something Tammy was saying, and you're right, it was so deep and smart. I feel like the progressive left thinks they have a get-out-of-jail-free card when it comes to treat. You can do whatever you want. And frankly, you know, over the last several decades, they've learned that lesson properly because the women's organizations, National Organization of Women, NARAL, Planned Parenthood, they've practiced that, what they preach, frankly.
Ted Kennedy killed a woman, an adult woman in her 20s called Mary Jo Kopechne in 1969, and upon his death, he was celebrated as a feminist hero.
That's right.
So you're absolutely right. It's all about that. But what I just find amazing is that we never stop to ask the obvious questions when it's someone on the left. It's like, how did this happen? Did no one know that this guy was a creep? I've gotten 5 calls today from people, not with hard evidence, but saying, yeah, I mean, this was kind of widely known. There's something really wrong with Eric Schneiderman. Do you really think Cuomo didn't know?
I can't imagine. He's a close political ally. They share offices in Albany, right, in the Capitol building. And he's been a huge supporter of his. You're right. He was on his route to be the next governor, if not a candidate for president of the United States. And we saw this after Harvey Weinstein. Remember, in Hollywood, suddenly it was an open secret. Oh, well, we all knew about it. We all knew about it as if, what, that's okay? As if we can just move on. But comparing it to Harvey Weinstein for a moment, you know, the other thing that's very disturbing about this is that these victims were afraid that Schneiderman would use the power of his office against them, to tap their phones, to imagine Harvey Weinstein with the power of the state behind him, with the power of police investigation to go after an innocent human being, someone that is being victimized by Harvey Weinstein. That's terrifying. And I'm old enough to remember when the left actually pretended as though they were afraid of the surveillance state, that they actually didn't want the government to have that kind of
because
power.
they didn't have power then, and they actually did a nice job brushing back the surveillance state, but now, of course, they endorse it. Larry, that was great.
Thanks, Tucker.
Great to see you.
Thank you.